Sorry, I really don't want to cry. History's repeating itself. It's coming back. This is, like our biggest fears kind of happening. I feel like cancer was supposed to happen in my life for a reason. My original symptoms started, I was noticing my bowel habits were changing. So I was just going more often than I ever did before. And to me, that's something that's so small, but I noticed it and I thought to myself, maybe I'm getting some more fiber in my diet, I'm drinking more water, things are just flowing better. And then I started to have some strange like tissue and mucus coming out when I would use the restroom. And that was another like kind of slight thing that I was like, I've never seen this before, kind of strange. I'm just like keeping it in the back of my mind. And then I started experiencing like stomach pain, sharp pains, and rectal bleeding. And then that progressed to like blood clots and just, all of those classic symptoms triggered me to go seek a doctor. I remember my first appointment that I had seen a doctor for these symptoms. She asked me my whole history. I remember one of the phrases that she said to me after I got my blood test results. She said, you're not anemic, so there's nothing, life-threatening going on. Meaning like you're not losing a ton of blood where it's dangerous. Your levels are normal. You don't have any medical history. It could be an internal hemorrhoid because you've had 2 babies. Things change down there. And then another doctor that I had seen at the ER, he ran blood work as well, and he said the same phrase. He said, you are not anemic. There's nothing life-threatening. You are young and healthy. Just wait for, your next appointment. I'm young and healthy. Well, why am I bleeding? Why am I having pain? There's something wrong. Looking back on it, I feel very frustrated, more so with myself, because I wish that I would have known, what would be a good test to request. Like I know now I could have requested a simple CT scan. I wish that I had more knowledge so that I could push back a little bit more. So I would just say to people that are getting kind of brushed aside, like you're young, you're healthy, you don't have any history or anything like that, just truly push, like there is something wrong with my body. I know my body better than anybody else. Originally, when I was diagnosed with stage 2 rectal cancer, it was a grade T3 tumor. I started with 25 rounds of pelvic radiation. We are on our way to our radiation oncologist. And during those 25 days, I also did chemo pills. And then we took a little break. And then I did 4.5 months of full Fox IV chemotherapy. So that was every other week. I did infusions for 3 days. And then that treatment, it completely dissolved my original tumor.
Wow, we're done.
Yes.
Wow.
We're done, young lady.
Wow.
There you go.
Woo-hoo! And then when they had found the lung nodules, I was set to do 2 lung wedge resection surgeries to remove those 2 portions. The doctor thought he was going to have to, and my margins were clear. So it was really good news. And I think they sent it off for pathology. After the surgeries were done, they told us, we just want to wait. We're just going to wait. We're going to monitor. And I just remember my husband and I, after we had got off that phone call with that oncologist, we were like, this is like kind of unsettling. I just don't feel great about this because this is what we were told the last year when I had finished chemo and radiation. They said, we're going to sit you on a wait and watch surveillance plan. And then that first set of scans is when they found the lung mets. So we just were like, history might repeat itself. It's kind of scary now. We're dealing with stage 4. I don't really know. Like, we went along with that. And I remember I had gone back and forth with getting a second opinion. I really wanted to get my case in front of another set of doctors. And I think that it's so difficult for people to get a second opinion when it shouldn't be. When you're dealing with advanced disease, it should be a given that you are allowed to take your case to another set of doctors just for an opinion. So I did not get that a second opinion, and we sat on the wait and watch surveillance plan. I would 100% always encourage people to go after that second, third, fourth opinion, just to help you better understand your disease, but also to give you the confidence in the treatment plan that you're going with. I had my first set of like MRI, CT scans, and all of that since my surgeries. The first result that we got back was my chest CT scan of my lungs, and on that report, the radiologist had notated that there was increasing soft tissue within the lower left lung, and there was a concern for recurrent disease. And so, you read that, you get the results straight to your MyChart thing, and I haven't spoken to my doctor or anything. So I'm just like, oh, history's repeating itself. It's coming back. This is, like our biggest fears kind of happening. And then I talked to my doctor about it, and he goes, well, I looked at it. I'm not really like impressed with the area that the radiologist notated. I don't really think that's what it is. We're just going to kind of wait and see what it does. So I'm like, okay, we'll just wait some more, I guess. And then I got my MRI results for my rectum. And there was a notation on that scan result that said there was, I forget the measurement, but it was in the same spot my original tumor was, and there was a concern for recurrent disease. So I'm like, whoa, what's going on? But I had ended up switching insurance with my employer, so I moved over to the hospital that I wanted to go seek that second opinion with. So that was really fantastic. And I love my new team of doctors. They're wonderful. And so they just went right in and they were like, we're going to be aggressive with testing for everything. So we're going to order a whole new set of scans. We're going to compare it with all your history. We're going to do blood tests. We're going to do Signatera tests. We're going to do all these things, the whole nine. And I'm like, this is amazing. Fantastic. And so during those scans and ordering all these tests, I had also noticed that my neck was a little swollen. This was another just random thing. So I told one of my new doctors, and he goes, yeah, we're going to just order an ultrasound because with your history, I just want to be on this, be more cautious. So I got an ultrasound and everything, and then my doctor ended up saying she wanted to order biopsies because there was a really enlarged lymph node that they had found on the other side. Mine and my husband, our minds are going to the craziest places. So my lymph nodes were clear. Thank God. We were so relieved. But they were very aggressive with getting these tests done and moving everything very quickly, which I'm so thankful for. A lot of really, really lows and then really, really highs have happened. And right now I'm kind of just in a waiting spot right now to see what this new team of doctors wants to do going forward. It has been a ride, honestly. It's so funny because now where we're at, we're in such a wonderful place. But recently we've been talking a lot about how we handled things like waiting for results, the days when we received really bad results, the days where we are preparing for surgeries or preparing for treatment, and we kind of laugh at how we handled those situations because I feel like we've grown so much, and I think that you don't really have a choice when you're faced with something like this to kind of buckle up and you've got to push through it. And my husband, he definitely makes light of everything. He makes me laugh through it all, which that's what I need. We had some really tough times. I would say after the stage 4 diagnosis, that was really rough. And then when we got those test results saying that there was possible recurrence in my lungs and my rectum, it was a really, really tough time. He puts on a brave face, but everybody is human, and you're faced with those dark thoughts of not being around for your family, or in his case, his wife not being here for his children, or to grow old with, and things like that. So we've had difficult talks, but overall it's really done nothing but strengthen our relationship, which is kind of crazy. I think something that has really given me great perspective is I have my family and friends. I have a wonderful support system, but they've told me throughout the past 2 years, we are here for you. Anything you need, anytime you want to talk. And I know that a lot of people can say that to you, but truly, when you let it out and you talk about your feelings, you talk about your fears, your worries, your anxieties with the people that love you most, they will step up and they will comfort you. And I've learned that the hard way. I've gone through periods of time where I keep things to myself, where I'm feeling really down about something, and then it just kind of explodes because we're humans and that's what happens. But yeah, I really do agree with like building a community of people that may not even understand what you're going through, but they love you, and that's the number one thing. A huge thing we did at the second half of last year was we just went on a ton of vacations. We were like, you know what? We have a new perspective on everything. We just need to like distract ourselves and let's just live our life and do these things that are going to bring us joy. And it was like, those were the best decisions that we made, doing all those trips and staying distracted was great. Another thing that really helps me is I love to be busy. I thrive on a full schedule. So, I continued through all of this to do my photography business. I was working full time, staying busy with my daughters, and, just things like that just help me feel like a normal person. And I think that's like the best thing is, yeah, I have cancer, but I'm still a normal person and I'm still doing normal life things. And I think that's really important. Food is definitely huge, 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 huge factor. We're doing fresh produce, local farm, fresh produce. And I don't think it's really expressed enough by the healthcare industry, by your doctors, of like how important everything you're putting into your body is going to affect you internally. We got a cucumber for the salads. Look at how normal size this is. The cucumbers that we normally get are just massive, and I just feel like this is so much more natural. So I'm excited to use this little cucumber for our salads. I've been really focusing on anti-inflammatory diet. I'm not perfect. Not 100% of the time am I choosing anti-inflammatory meals, but I definitely want to be very intentional about the foods that I'm bringing into my home for my daughters because now they have a direct link to cancer. So I don't want them to be any more at risk than they already are. So just being really conscious, I think that is like the theme of my whole cancer story, honestly, is like, before any of this, if I would have heard that somebody was diagnosed with cancer, it's like, oh my gosh, like what an awful situation. Like I can't even imagine how scary and just their world's probably just crumbling, And for it to be where I am now, to where I've grown so much in my faith, I've grown so much in like the strength that I have, confidence in myself. There's just so many things. This community that I've built online, being able to know that I'm helping other people and encouraging other people it's very surreal. I appreciate everybody that has reached out to me and sent me countless videos and articles and just a bunch of information on fasting. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know that I have tried it. Colorectal cancer awareness to me is something that will be so important in my life going forward. To me personally, I think it is a representation of the season that I've walked through so far. I think that it is, I don't want to get all sappy and start crying. I think that it's really important to me raising my daughters for them to be aware, to know that their mom walked through colorectal cancer, walked through treatment, is going to have this disease for the rest of her life.
If you were inspired by this story, we've queued up another one for you here. And please make sure you subscribe to the Patient Story community, where we're humanizing cancer one story at a time and always reminding people you're never alone.